Well, good morning, church. Good morning, church. If you're new here, we're so glad you joined us today here at LexCity Church. Hey, we're just going to take a couple minutes and worship together, sing some songs together. So how about y'all get your hearts ready this morning? Let's get those hands together this morning, all right? Yeah. Come on, sing with me. I raise a hallelujah. I raise a hallelujah in the presence of my enemy. Come on, you sing, I raise. I raise a hallelujah louder than the unbelief. I raise a hallelujah. My weapon is a melody. I raise a hallelujah. And heaven comes to fight for me. Yeah. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm, louder and louder. You're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. Sing, I raise a hallelujah with everything inside of me. I raise a hallelujah, and I will watch the darkness flee. I raise a hallelujah in the middle of the mystery. I raise a hallelujah, yeah. And fear not still hold on, I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm, louder and louder. You're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. All right, come on, church, let's get those hands together. Yeah. Come on, let's just praise, let's worship Him this morning. How about you sing after me? Sing a little louder, all right? Sing a little louder. Sing that out. Sing a little louder. 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 Come on, sing it with me. Sing a little louder in the presence together, strangers, neighbors, our blood is one. Children of generation, of every nation, of kingdom come. So don't let your heart be troubled, and hold your head up high. Don't fear no evil, and fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. So take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. Yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Sing Jesus. Jesus, our redemption, our salvation is in His blood. Jesus, light of heaven, a friend forever, His kingdom come. So don't let your heart be troubled. Hold your head up high, don't fear no evil. Fix your eyes on this one truth. God is madly in love with you. Take courage, hold on, be strong. Remember where our help comes from. Oh, swing wide.
Swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Come on, just sing, swing wide, all you heavens, let the praise go up as the walls come down. All creation, everything with breath, repeat the sound. All His children, clean hands, pure hearts, good grace, good God. His name is Jesus. Come on, sing with us, Jesus. Jesus, our redemption and our salvation is in His blood. Jesus, and Jesus, the light of heaven, a friend forever, His kingdom come.
So God created us all with this desire to be seen and to be loved. But then the enemy came in and created this fear and said, if you're seen, you'll never be loved. But this song is all about how God says, I love you all the time, no matter what. So as we sing this, remind your heart of this truth.
The wind that stirs the fire deep inside me is calling out the truth once again. My soul belongs to you, my lips repenting. I'm calling out to you once again. valleys wide to ocean deep. You will reign, you will redeem. Your grace forever flows. Through every calm, through every storm, you will remain, you will endure. Your grace forever flows. From valleys wide to ocean deep, you will reign, you will redeem. Your grace forever flows. Through every calm, through every storm, you will remain, you will endure. Your grace forever flows. You never quit, God. From valleys wide to ocean deep, you will reign, you will redeem. Your grace You go before, I know that you've even gone to win my war, and you come back with the head of my enemy. You come back and you call it my victory. And all I did was praise. All I did was worship. All I did was bow down. All I did was stay still. Hallelujah. introduce me to your love. You picked up all my pieces, put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. And when I thought I lost me, you knew where I left me. You reintroduced me to your love. You picked up all my pieces, put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. When I thought I lost me, you knew where I left me. You reintroduced me to your love. Picked up all my pieces, put me back together. You are the defender of my Lord, we take you at your word that the cross was enough, that we are loved forever, that it is finished. It's not up for negotiation whether or not we're loved by you, that it is true. And so, God, help us to believe. Help us to believe that you would defend us. Help us to believe that you do fight our battles and that we can be still and just stand in who you say we are. God, we're thankful this morning to remember these truths. We want to be people who live like this every day, not just for a little while on Sunday morning. So God, give us victory. Help us walk in it. Help us to remember. Lord, thank you for the chance to gather. And thank you for the chance to remind each other he's coming back. And that we have today and tomorrow, we don't know how long, to live out who you say we are and to live as loved children. So God, strengthen us, remind us, let us be that kind of people. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Yes. Well, he is definitely worthy of these moments, and we're just so glad to share them together. So turn around, say hi to some folks, ask them what color they are, and then have a seat.
Well, welcome to LexCity Church. You guys awake out there this morning? There we go. Well, hey, I'm Zach. I'm one of the pastors here. We're so glad that you're with us today. And if it's your first time here, especially glad you joined us. Do me a favor, at some point throughout the service, just go onto lexcity.info on your web browser. Click on New here. We just love to get connected with you guys. And so as we continue to worship this morning, I'm going to ask our ushers to make their way down front as we receive our offering this morning. And just want to thank you guys for your generosity each and every week. The thing that makes things happen here and for Lexington and around the world as well. And we try to make it easy for you guys to give here at Lex City. We have 3 easy ways you can give. You can give as the buckets go by. You can put cash or check in there. You can also go to lexcity.info and click on the word give, and you can set up a one-time donation or a recurring monthly thing if you would like as well. Or you can text to give by texting 84321 and the amount to that number as well. And so, hey, we have something great coming up next Sunday at 11:30 service during this service. So maybe if you want to do this, come to 10 o'clock service next week and then go to what we call the Lexington City Luncheon. It's at 11:30 during this hour next week. You can sign up on lexcity.info by clicking on events and then finding that luncheon and signing up there. It's a great way to find out more about our church, meet our pastor and his wife, and just kind of learn all the things you can get involved in here at Lex City as well. And so we are starting a brand new series today called I Said This. You heard that. We're really, really excited about it. And as you walked in, you got some stickers with 4 different colors on them. And so how many of you guys have taken the I Said This, you heard this assessment? How many of you guys? So you guys know your colors? Where are my fellow yellows at? Yellows, make some noise. There we go. That's right. I knew the yellows would have no problem screaming with me. All right. So if you have any idea what your color is, you can go ahead and grab that sticker, put it on there. If not, go on to lexcity.info, click Know Your Color. You can take the assessment. It's really fun and easy. It takes about 15 minutes. And you'll kind of figure out what you are. And after you listen to Pastor Brian today, you'll probably know what color you are today as well. It's going to be a really awesome, fun time together as we do this together. And so welcome to week 1 of what we're calling I Said This, You Heard That.
Ben, you forgot to bring the trash can up again.
Oh, sorry. I was just
I don't see why it's so hard for you to remember. You have to bring it up every single Tuesday. What, did you walk right past it? Come on, you don't even have that many... What is this?
I was just drawing something.
Well, clean it up.
I will.
No, don't just say you're going to clean it up. Do it.
Let me just finish. Wait, that's my color.
You can draw when you're finished with your chores. Right now, it's not time to play. It's time to work. Do what I asked you to do first. Come on. Listen. There's no need to cry. There's just a right way to do things. Now, do you want to do things your way, or do you want to do things the right way?
The right way, I guess.
All right. Get this cleaned up. Now.
Hey, are you all done? What's wrong? Did he show you the comic book he was making you for your birthday? I think it was supposed to be a surprise.
Well, he knows he's supposed to do his chores first.
Oh, Dad, do you want to play my game?
I just have so much work to do right now, bud. Just really don't have time to play chess, okay?
It will only take 5 minutes, come on.
I know chess. A good game can go on for hours.
No, it's not chess. I completely made up my own rules. Come on.
Why would you want to make up your own rules? I mean, chess is a great game. Look, the instructions are right here. Just look at that. Get you there.
No, but Dad, I made up the entire game from scratch. Just let me show you how to play, okay?
Look, chess has been around for 1,000 years, okay? Now there's a strategy and order. Change the rules defeats the whole purpose of the game. Look, I'll show you how to play really quickly, but then I have to work, okay? All right, first of all, you'll need
Wait,
these.
what are you doing with those? No, don't throw them away.
It's just a bunch of paper, bud. You need to learn how to play the real game.
Oh, and those? Are you kidding me?
Let's see, these aren't set up right.
And I worked on those. And that was so hard.
Look, this is a rook, okay? It moves forward or backward, but never diagonal. Are you listening?
This isn't very fun.
Well, we haven't even started yet.
I know, it's just that Regular chess, it's so boring, and I liked my way better, okay?
Well, you can't just make up your own rules. I mean, there's just a right way to do things in a right order. Now, do you want to do things your way or the right way?
The right way, I guess. I don't know the right way, so you rewrite for me.
All right, now this is called a night. Now with the,
Grab your stuff. We don't want to be late.
what, you're leaving already?
Yeah, I've got to go to summer camp. We've got an hour's drive ahead of us.
How many times did you play his game? Isn't it so much fun? He's been working all day on it. Okay, say goodbye.
Bye, bud.
The words that we say and the words that we hear have the power to shape our entire life. And the words that we say have the power to shape the lives of those that are around us. That's why this next 4 weeks on this series is really going to be so important, because it has generational impact on the things that we do. The Apostle Paul understood this thousands of years ago in the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 29. He writes it this way. When he talks about the words that we say, it says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for the building others up according," here's the key, "to their needs, that it may be benefit those who listen." To their needs. See, this was the problem of the father in the video, right? As a child, he had needs that he needed, words that he needed spoken to his life, and his father didn't do that. Challenge is that generational thing continues on, and now when the boy is a father, his own son needs some words spoken into his life, and he fails to do that, and the cycle continues. The goal for us during this series is really to help us to become men and women who understand the needs of others and the ability to speak the words of promise and hope and destiny into their lives during those key moments. And so what we're going to see during this series is this. The goal is not to give you new vocabulary. The goal is really to do this, to see your heart transformed into a spirit-filled life. I mean, this is the key. In Luke chapter 6, verse 45, here's the power. It says this: "A good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart. And an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart." Here's the key. What you say flows from what is in your heart. The goal of this series is not behavior modification. The goal of this series is heart transformation, because in that is where the power and the truth happens. Now listen, during this series, we're going to have a blast. We're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to laugh. There'll be joyful moments. We'll kid each other's temperaments. We'll have a great time there. But listen, there's also going to be days and moments that we're going to cut to the core of really who we are and the core of how we view ourselves. And in those moments, can I just encourage you to do the work? To let yourself go there in honest reflection, to say, God, what is it in me? Where do I have blind spots? Because I want to remind you again, what is at stake is so important. This has generational impact. Some of you will break cycles that you have from your parents to the next generation because you have a greater understanding of who you are and how God uniquely made you in a powerful way. And so that's where we're going to be heading. So again, I want to encourage you, don't miss any of these 4 weeks. They're all going to build on that. And so let me give you some ways just to leverage our time together. First one, if you go to lexcity.info, you'll see there a big button for the assessment. We already have over 1,300 folks that have taken this assessment. It's just quick, easy, takes a few moments there, and you can go through and take that assessment. There's places a little lower on that page. If you want to help even how do I learn my temperaments of my children, there's ways to do that. If all of this intrigues you and you're like, I'd like to go deeper on this, can I invite you? We're starting a grow group on Thursday nights just for a few weeks. It's going to be exactly on this topic. And again, you can find that on lexcity.info. When you come in, you'll see already we've got 4 stations set up. You can go and find your colors, be with your people and your tribe. Greens, we can sit together in isolation, but still in community. It'll be a wonderful thing. There's a little task for you to do each week. You can enter your name in a drawing. At the end of the series, we're going to give out a prize specific to each temperament. And so that's going to be an awesome way to do that. If you also, just to have a little fun, if you want to wear your color for the next 3 weeks, that would be great. That way us greens can know what temperament you are without actually having to have a conversation. That would be a gift, all right? That would be a gift to me if you would do that. So that's kind of where we're heading, but it's going to be an amazing time. When we think about temperaments, many of you are like me. When I begin to look at the temperaments and I begin to look at the other gifts and strengths of all the other temperaments, there's something in me that begins to wish I was somebody different. See, I'm an introvert who wishes I was more like a yellow and much more of an extrovert. I'm a people pleaser who wishes I was more direct like a red. I wish I had the self-discipline of a blue. I find myself being a green, living in a colored world. Do you ever feel those kind of experiences that we have? But here's what I found to be true in my life, and I know it will be true in yours. Until you come to a point of peace, of accepting and embracing who God has uniquely meant and created you to be, you will never reach your full potential in the Lord. See, God made me a green, not because that was my first choice, because it was his choice for his purpose and his glory. God created you, who he wants you to be, not for your pleasure, but for his glory. If you can just let that truth sink in, it's a game changer. God created you wonderfully for that purpose and that pleasure. And we're going to see that a few times over and over this morning, because what I know the challenge is this. If I spend my entire life wishing I was somebody else, I'll miss out on the power of me and who God has uniquely made me in such a way. In the Old Testament, there's a king, first king of Israel, who struggled with this very thing, who spent his whole life comparing to others, that he missed out on the blessing of God on his life into the power that it could have been. And so that's what we want to look a little bit at this morning. So if you've got your Bibles, if you would turn me to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 19. If you got your phones, again, go to lexcity.info. All the sermon notes are there. And let's take a look at this king and the struggle he had. Now, some of you may have already guessed, the king we're going to look at was the very first king of the nation of Israel, and his name was Saul. And let's pick up his story in 1 Samuel chapter 9. There was a wealthy, influential man named Kish from the tribe of Benjamin. He was the son of Abiel, the son of Zeor, the son of Berakath, the son of Aphiah, from the tribe of Benjamin. His son Saul was the most handsome man in Israel, head and shoulders taller than anyone else in the land. Who was this Saul? He was handsome. Not only was he handsome, the Bible says he was the most handsome man in all of Israel. Not only was he handsome, he was tall. He head and shoulders above everybody else. This dude was the total package. He's the bachelor. I mean, he's living a dream as it goes. Now listen, you would think this man, Saul, would be so self-secure. You would assume he would be confident and secure with who he is. But the challenge is, if you continually compare yourself to other people all your life, that effect of comparison is it causes you to be less than what God had really created and God was destined you to be. When Samuel, we're going to see in the book, Samuel comes to choose Saul to become the first king of Israel. And listen to how Saul responds when Samuel comes up and shares the news with him. Listen to Saul's self-perception, right? This is how he views himself, the most handsome man in all of Israel. 1 Samuel chapter 9. Now the Lord had told Samuel the previous day, about this time tomorrow, I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin. Anoint him to be the leader of my people, Israel. He will rescue them from their Philistines, for I have looked down on my people in mercy and have heard their cry. When Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said, that's the man I told you about. He will rule my people. So Samuel comes up to Saul and says, Saul, you are going to be the king, the first king of Israel. Now look at how Saul responds in chapter 9. Saul replied, but I am only of the tribe of Benjamin, the smallest tribe in Israel, and my family is the least important of all the families of that tribe. Why are you talking like this to me? I'm so insignificant. I'm not only insignificant, I'm the most insignificant of the most insignificant tribe. Not only that, I'm the most insignificant of the most insignificant family of the most insignificant tribe that we have. And we read that and we hear that and we say, man, that's Saul. Boy, he was a humble man. Can I propose to you this morning, it really wasn't true humility. It was actually pride, masked in false humility. See, Saul's issue was not humility, it was insecurity. And rather than be grateful for who God had made him to be, we find Saul comparing himself to everyone around him. Now think about this. This is Saul, King Saul, handsome Saul, tallest dude in all Saul, had it all going on, and yet we know Saul compared himself and became insecure over a young man, potentially a teenage man, a person that had no status, a person who was actually a shepherd. If you know the story, who am I talking about? It's David, right? Think about the contrast of that. 1 Samuel chapter 18. And Saul was jealous and did not trust David from that day on. So here we have Saul, as we pick up the story, his insecurities, his jealousy drives Saul even and affects his entire reign. In fact, we know this, that it causes him not only to have not only God's blessing on his ministry and God's blessing on his reign during this time, this jealousy wells up so much in the life of Saul that at some point he actually tries to kill David. And it mars his legacy. Can you imagine Saul? If he just would have come to a point of peace with who he was, peace in how God had uniquely made him, a peace that would have been able to celebrate others. So when David had a victory, Saul would have seen it as a victory to him. When people below him prospered, that Paul would have understood that he prospers because of that. When others have victories below him, that he understands if he celebrates that, that actually brings victory into his life. But when you're not at peace with yourself, right, the accomplishments, the giftedness, and can I propose to you even today, the temperaments of other people become a threat. When you're looking around and always comparing yourself to other people, you miss out on really what God's best is for your life and what God wants for you for your life. And when we do that, the challenge is this: we stunt our growth and we stunt our potential and we become stuck in this world of comparison over and over. And I know this to be true. I know in my life, just like Saul's life, boy, I have had seasons that I have lived in a deficit. And I've lived in a deficit because of this comparison game to everyone around me. Ever had these feelings like, again, I'm the least, of the smallest of the smallest. You know, God, there are more gifted people. When I think of people who should lead and these kind of things, all different kinds of other people come to my mind because of my green temperament, right? I'm an introverted person. I tend to be passive. If I'm not careful, I'm held captive by the opinions and the desire to be approval of others. I have very little to offer, and oh God, choose somebody else. And when I think about those moments, how arrogant, what false humility, what an overvaluing of self those thoughts are. Since when did God, the creator of the universe, ever need my temperament or my giftedness to accomplish his glory? He spoke through donkeys. He can speak through preachers. You know what I'm saying? But look, when we get this false sense, it's a sense of like, who are we to think that God would even need this kind of giftedness to do whatever God didn't create you for your pleasure. He created you for his glory and his point of coming to peace with this. This is Moses' problem, right? Moses in the garden, or is in the desert, and God's calling him to say, listen, I want you to take the nation of Israel. I want you to lead them out of captivity. And Moses in this moment doesn't understand temperaments, but I bet you in this moment, Moses said, Lord, I wish I was a little bit more like a red, because here's what he says, Exodus chapter 4. But Moses pleaded with the Lord, oh Lord, I am not very good with words. I've never been. I'm not now, or even though you have spoken to me, I get tongue-tied. My words get tangled. And the Lord said to Moses, Moses, who makes a person's mouth? Who decides whether people speak or don't speak, hear or don't hear, see or do not see? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will be with you as you speak, and I will instruct you with what to say. But Moses again pleaded, Lord, please send anyone else. Then the Lord became angry with Moses. See, when you and I dismiss and devalue who God created you to be, then we sound an awful lot like Moses. Lord, I'm too much of this and I'm not enough of that. You made a mistake, right? God, I wish I was more introverted because I'm just loud and at times I say things I shouldn't say. Oh, Lord, I wish you would have made me better with people, but I tend to get consumed with tasks. Lord, just send somebody else. And the goal in this series is, again, to help you and I have a better understanding of our temperaments, to remind you that God didn't make your temperament by chance. God didn't create your strengths and your weaknesses within you just by happen chance. He created them for a purpose, and that is for his glory. See, God uniquely created Saul for the role that he had Saul to play. He uniquely created Moses for the role that Moses was to play. The challenge is their lack of self-awareness and their insecurity was a detriment to God's purpose and calling on their lives. So Saul never reigned in the full blessing of God on his life because of these insecurities. Moses never made it to the promised land, and part of the reason was he didn't understand the self-awareness of his weaknesses that he had. And friends, my fear for you and I is this: in 2020, if you don't fully embrace who God has uniquely created you to be, you will miss out on God's blessings in this next year. So here's what we're going to do during this series. We're going to join Dr. Catherine Edelman, and just here on video, and she's going to introduce and interview 4 people, and these 4 people are going to represent the 4 temperaments that are there. And I'm going to go a little longer with them today because I want you to connect to these people, because over the next few weeks, we're going to touch back with them each time. And so as you hear this, begin to ask, Lord, maybe what is my color and how you have uniquely made me. Check this out.
So let's go around and tell a little bit about yourself.
Me
Tell
first.
me, you, of course, you first. You
Okay.
first.
My name is Tony. I'm 26. I'm newly married and I have a little toddler.
How old?
She's 3.5.
3.5.
She's like 4. I probably need to say 4 now.
Okay. Her name?
Dylan.
Dylan. Love that name.
Strong-willed blessing.
Okay.
Hashtag. Oh, you know what it is.
And why do you know?
So my youngest is 3.
Okay.
And very strong-willed. So I'm Jeremy. I'm 40. I have been married for 15 years. I've got 3 kids, 8, 5, and 3. 2 boys and a girl.
That's great. Tell me a little bit about you.
I'm Leslie. It's none of your business what my age is. I have a husband.
Okay.
We've been married 30 years. I have 5 children.
Wow.
And have started the next chapter of also having grandchildren. So I've got an 18-month-old grandson and a 15-month-old granddaughter.
Andrew.
Yeah, I'm Andrew, 25. No, not married.
Okay.
No kids or grandkids.
Okay.
That's good news.
Just me.
Yeah. Good. And we're going to learn about temperaments. We're going to learn about your innate wiring from God. And what happens there is you have a core motivator. You have core unique gifts that he's given you. He's given you strengths and weaknesses. Just a little bit about the temperaments to start with, though. 2 of you are extroverts. That does not mean that we like to be around a lot of people. It means that your thoughts and emotions go outward, okay? These people have no filter. So they may say something, right? And then they may say something like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Or they just needed to know, okay? We're gonna work on the extroverts to put a little bit thicker filter on. Then there's 2 of you who are introverts. Hence, thoughts and emotions go inward, okay? Processors. I happen to be one of these people that like to think things through before I talk, right? There's people who talk before they think, and then there's people who think before they talk, okay? Then there's people who are people-oriented. They will pick a person to be with before they pick a task to do. Then there's task-oriented people. They will pick a task over a person. Sometimes people are even tasks, right? So as we're explaining that a little bit, sounding familiar on what you might be?
I think I do too.
You're starting to feel a little bit of a connection or identity, right?
Yeah.
So
Or maybe some anxiety.
anxiety.
I feel like I got called out just
Just a little bit.
So you took the assessment. So this first step is acceptance. So Leslie's my choleric. She's the red. This person is motivated. Their desire is control and power. This person is strong. They're great delegators. They're dynamic leaders. They're quick in emergencies. The weaknesses, they can be a little bossy, intolerant, or impatient, and maybe speak with a tone.
I do not resemble that.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that a little more in depth. Andrew, my fellow melancholy blue.
Yes.
Yes. We are motivated by perfection and order, right? And we think analytical, logically, creative, musical, artistic. We can remember the negatives. Be hypochondriacs. Judgment and criticism are kind of things we struggle with. Our very calm and kind, phlegmatic green, this would be Jeremy. The green is motivated by calm and harmony. This is a kind, innate person that's great at listening and mediating. The weakness side avoids conflict, doesn't like confrontation, no sense of urgency. So we're going to talk about that as well. The brightest yellow for last, my sanguine friend, right? People and fun, creative, inspiring, encouraging. May forget names, may put your hand up to volunteer and forget to show up, right? Yeah. And maybe a little scatterbrained. But these are just high-level gist ideas of what we're going to talk about. And I would like you to read through your strengths, okay? I would love you to just tell me, Tony, what jumps out at you. When you're reading through those strengths, what jumps out at you?
Okay, this is going to sound crazy, but popular, okay?
That jumps out?
Yeah, it just jumps out. Right
And what does that mean to you?
Has a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Like loves community and lots of people all the time. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
Just want to hang out.
The hangout?
The lives in the moment.
Yeah.
My husband calls me a momenteer. I'm just like, I want to juice up everything I can get out of this moment right now.
And you usually like to do that with people?
Yes.
Yes.
With
that would make
people.
it just that much better, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Emotional, expressive, and animated is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Well, what I know about your temperament, though, is when we're talking about strengths and weaknesses, for the sanguine temperament, those strengths and weaknesses are very close together. So as we're going to move into the weaknesses, we'll see how close they are. But when you're talking about just being in the moment and doing that with people, what are you doing? How do you communicate with people?
Definitely through words.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's like verbal. It's all verbal. I love story. Like I want to talk about story. I want to know, I want to remember something unique about your story. I may not remember your name. Okay. But I'll remember your face and something about your story.
Yeah. Tell me, Jeremy, tell me some of the strengths that jump out at you.
Sure. So I resonate with a lot of these: generous, content, easygoing and relaxed, leader, especially shepherd. That idea of
Tell me
being a
about
shepherd.
that. Tell me about why does that particular word jump out at you?
The way that I like to lead people is more of a shepherd, kind of guiding people, you know, listening to their strengths and where that could fit, and then encouraging that, guiding that, leading them to be able to be in a place of passion.
Yeah. So I hope you're seeing, even as we're talking right now, that both of these two, even as they're explaining their strengths, they're explaining them, and the word people comes up over and over, right? And it's in everything they've kind of directed so far.
So quiet but witty. I enjoy being called funny. Steady, even-tempered, patient, mediator, negotiator. Friendly.
Your idea of story and your idea of story both came up with people, but differently, right? Yours is a caring and a guidance way, and yours is to remember and to include and invite, right? To be, I think you said about everybody to be your friend, right? Andrew, did you have time to look through this?
I did.
I purposely
appreciate
gave
you
you
giving me some
processing time.
No, definitely. For strengths, I kind of starred analytical, works well alone, and creative.
Okay.
Those are the three that really stood out to me.
So you put analytical and creative together,
Yeah.
which I love. But you do that, how do you do that in your daily life?
Sure.
Are they together or are they separate? How are you doing that?
I think that at the root of me, it's together, but I separate them in tasks and what I do. Like I have a financial analyst job where I'm focused on a lot of that, but then I also do stand-up comedy, which is more of the creative side.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to kind of, some days I feel like I turn off my analytical brain and turn on the creative brain and kind of go back and forth. No, the works well alone, I think, ties into that, because I do like to, whether it's my job or the comedy stuff, I like to work alone and then present it once I've had time to think about it.
Okay.
So that kind of is part of both.
Yeah, that
Where
is
I
part
prefer
of it.
to decide what I think about something before I talk about it with other people, so that I
Yeah.
can be confident in what I'm saying.
Yeah, wonderful. Leslie, my
Yeah.
friend, what do you see jumping off the list of your strengths?
Resourceful, pragmatic, and practical. I love
Resourceful, Pragmatic and practical.
Persuasive, not easily discouraged. Can control emotions in emergencies. I am your girl.
Yeah.
If there is something going on that is a mess, I am your girl.
And we're going to be even talking about that later as following cholerics when there's an alarm or a fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do not start giving me any of your ideas. Just follow me.
Just follow me. Stay low.
No, we don't need any of
save
your
your life,
We
right?
need none of your information. Get it done. Articulates thoughts and ideas well. And I'll tell you, a compulsive need for change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Tell me about
You know,
that.
what's next?
So as things are marked off your box,
Yeah.
you can just go on to the next thing. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Persuasive.
And not easily.
Not easily discouraged.
Wow. And you said that with some passion.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Just, I won't stop. You know.
So what's fascinating too is when we listen to Andrew and we listen to Leslie and their stories, really even you putting together your jokes was a task.
Sure.
Right? It was a task before you were willing to put your name on it, right? Or feel comfortable enough to step out on the stage. And then also when you're listening to Leslie, task.
Yeah.
You know, the people are absent. And when they describe,
absent.
absent when they're describing.
Yeah. That's part of the problem.
Exactly.
Does that start to give you maybe another little picture into maybe how God is uniquely wired? Here are the four big ones, right? So the yellow is extrovert, people-orientated. The red's an extrovert, the task-orientated. Green is an introvert, people-orientated. Blue is an introverted, task-orientated in generalizations. Now, I don't know about you, when I see these colors, my mind quickly goes to some amazing men and women who are each one of these, who are yellows, who are just the life of the party. They're so much fun to be around. Red, these strong leaders, decision makers. Blue, the self-discipline. And I don't know, I see all these faces and these people in my mind, and if I'm not careful, the thing that rises up again in my heart is these insecurities, right? God, why didn't you make me more like that? Or why didn't I become more like this person, and those kind of things? And that really is where I wanted to start today as we kind of close out our time, and to be reminded, listen, until we get to the point of accepting who God has uniquely wired and made you to be, we're not going to grow past that point. Until you get to the point of understanding this, that during these moments, I want this series to be really, really encouraging to you. But I know how this is going to work. If you're not careful, the enemy will begin to speak lies into your heart and into your mind over this very thing, how God has uniquely wired and made you. I know this to be true because, listen, over 1,300 people have taken that assessment. That tells me some of you took it once, didn't like your results, and wanted to take it another time, right? I know you're 800 of you are out there. Why? Because I didn't really like what it looked like, and I don't want to be that. I wanted to take it again and do this other thing. And listen, it's so fun. We're so weird people. We're just so messed up. Good thing we have Jesus. But if we're not careful, these lies begin to sink into our heads. It's one of the biggest conversations I've had this last week. Pastor, I took this thing. I'm so depressed. Oh, I saw these things. It's unbelievable. I don't want to even come to church, right? Because this is just killing me. All right, so next week, I was going to talk about the positive. Next week, we're going to talk about the negative things so we can get that out of the way, because some of y'all need to get off the ledge and just come on back, because you're just like me, and I get it. You hear these, and it rises up these things within you. Let me just share with you my go-to. Because John 8 says this, the key to overcoming a lie is to replace it with the truth, right? John 8, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So in my moments, when I wish I was a little more yellow and a lot more red and a lot more blue and all these kind of things, my go-to truth, again, is the truth of God's word in Psalms 139. And for some of you, this is what you need to hear today. Psalms 139 says this, you made all my delicate inner parts of my body, and you knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it. You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion. As I was woven together in the darkness of the womb, you saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. How precious are your thoughts about me, O God. They cannot be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of the sand. And when I wake up, you are still with me. See, whether you are yellow or red or green or blue, God has uniquely made you. Before the beginning and the foundation of the earth, every day of your life was numbered, and God had a plan and a purpose. And so he said, listen, not for your pleasure, but for my glory, I'm going to create you uniquely, you. And in this series, if we can embrace that truth, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, then we'll have the capacity to do what Ephesians 4 says. And it simply reminds us only what is helpful in building others up according to their needs, because we are at peace with our needs, so we have the capacity to meet their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. But it begins with simply this. God, I may not have chose it, and it may not have been my preference, but I know you made me for your glory and for your purpose. So help me to not only accept it, but embrace it. And over the context of this series, we're going to show you how you can leverage that unique giftedness. Father, thank you for this morning. Thank you for this simple but profound and life-changing truth that we were fearfully and wonderfully made. So God, this week, when the enemy wants to speak some lies and untruths and bring guilt and shame and negativity where you had never created it to be, may we just remind him again of the truth of Psalms 139. So God, we love you. We ask during this series that your Spirit would move in our hearts, that we would have the courage to do the work, that we can be the men and women who you've created us to be, that we can be men and women in a culture, in a time of such negativity and discouragement. May we speak the words that people need to hear for their benefit, and we'll give you the glory for it. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. What a powerful message this morning. I love that you said, Pastor Brian, that the goal is not of the series behavior modification, but heart transformation. And that's what we want to do over the next 4 weeks as we kind of unpack this stuff together. And it's really fun to know your color and all those things, but man, to know how God wired you and created you is even more important. And so I'm going to ask Pastor Brian and Tammy, they're going to make their way to the Welcome Center right now. And if they haven't got a chance to meet you yet, they would love to get to meet you. Maybe it's your first time here. Maybe you've been coming for a while. I've never got the chance to meet them. They would love to just say hey and get to know your story. And they're going to be at the Welcome Center, which is out to my left, right out here, and just for the next little bit. And they would love to see you out there. And this next weekend is a great weekend in the life of our church with our Next Generation Ministry with kids and students. We have an amazing event for dads and daughters called the Princess and King Ball. It's an amazing event. I went with last year with my daughter who's 7. She went with my wife yesterday, went shopping at multiple stores to find the perfect dress and the perfect shoes. Yesterday, my wife was like, oh my gosh, this was so stressful. I can't wait till prom. She's being sarcastic, but you guys know who have daughters. You guys understand. And so that is this Saturday from 4 to 6 o'clock. It's only $10 for the king. It's no charge for the princesses. So dads, bring as many of your daughters as you want to that. If you need a standing king, we have guys that are ready to be there with your daughter as well. And then also, if you would like to invite someone to this event, it's a great kind of for Lexington outreach kind of thing. We will actually give you a discounted ticket of only $5 if you want to invite a neighbor, a coworker, a friend, somebody to bring their daughter with them. You can go to the Princess and King Ball area, which is right out there as you walk out, and get information about that. You can also sign up on lexcity.info under the event section. Also, high school students, we have a ski trip coming up. We leave this Sunday after church, and it's Sunday, Monday, going to Perfect North. It's going to be a great, great time there as well. You can sign up on lexcity.info under events for that as well. And so as we're leaving, just a reminder, if you have not had a chance to go onto lexcity.info and click on that Know Your Color and take your assessment, that would be awesome so you can make sure that you know your color. I know some of you are like, oh, I know my color, and you might, but it's fun to see percentages and where you're at on all those things as well. And so as we're dismissing now, we actually have a station set up for every color in the lobby out there, and a kind of a fun way to get there. For you yellows, we made a path that goes everywhere because you're going to get distracted and talk to people and all that kind of stuff, all right? The blues, we put it right by the wall. You don't have to talk to anyone. You can just get there, just like task. Get to my station. We also have an activity and some resources at each one of those tables. And we have t-shirts for sale for every color if you'd like to buy one of those as well. And so, hey, do me a favor next week. Bring somebody with you that you know this would be a benefit for. We'll see you guys all next week. Head out to the lobby. Thanks a lot.